afternoon, wherever you're watching this. This is the Georgos File, or Journal, whatever you'd like to call it, with your host, me, Georgos. Good afternoon, Mr. Metz. How are you? During this epidemic, there are many problems going on, and I'd like to address this one issue that is very important for the U.S. and our workers and jobs here. I think all of our products, clothing and all that should be made back here in the U.S. And here's why I say this. It puts money back in our pockets. If we have less jobs outside of the U.S. and more jobs inside of the U.S., more people inside our country are working. And especially during this crisis, we need to work because our economy is going down, because we shut down most of our states. We're just now opening back up, but I mean, for future reference, we can't go through other countries. In China, we were asking for many coronavirus test kits, and they would come in, but they wouldn't be certified by the FDA. And I mean, that puts a lot of Americans at risk of not knowing if they actually have the virus. Like, if they test for it and they test positive and it's not certified by the FDA, they could not have it, so they'd be in quarantine, out of work and all that. And also, it could give you a false reading, such as like being actually sick when you're not, or sick when you are, not sick when you are. So I don't know, I just think that stuff should be made here if we're gonna use it here. As you may know, there is a majority of products being made outside of the U.S. for U.S. citizens, such as in this source, it says Sourcing Allies launches coronavirus support services for North American and European businesses that manufacture in China. Well, here's a quote off of there. It says, "We found that businesses that source from China are struggling to get accurate and up-to-date information from the ground because they're unable to travel there themselves and are unlikely to do so for quite some time. Because during this epidemic, you can't go anywhere, or else you'll be in risk of getting sick, or a lot of places have actually closed their borders, so you wouldn't be able to do that anyways. And they can't get accurate information because it's a U.S. company, but it's based in China. So our bosses can't work their way around that. It's made in a different country. You won't get accurate information because they're not experienced it themselves, and they can't because they can't actually go there at this time. And yeah, another article posted by the New York Times in July 2004 says there's a quality and shortage of American jobs. It says the Bush economic program is failing to generate the quality jobs that the administration promised. And the worst thing yet, the massive tax cuts that have led to a ballooning deficit and have made it possible for American investors to create jobs in India, China, and basically anywhere except the U.S. where it actually matters, because they want to make things for cheaper. And yeah, also, you may have heard from your parents or someone older than you who's more wise. Everything used to be made in the U.S. In the 80s, 70s, we had a booming time for manufacturing here in the U.S. at least. It would say brands and clothes like this would have the tags made in the USA, and it was like that for almost the whole world. Um, and that was a good time because our unemployment rate was really low at the time, and we didn't have to go through other countries, and our quality of work here is way better than in a foreign country per se. Even though our minimum wage is higher, but we can still make it up in the end. And also, the more jobs here, the more we pay for like food, which benefits small businesses, and then from that it benefits them buying, let's say, a house, and that benefits that person. It's like more, it's a more flow of money inside of our country if we have things made here. It also says, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, manufacturing lost almost 6 million jobs between 2000 and 2010. That 6 million jobs could have been for someone who's unemployed right now. Just think about that. That is us losing money as we're speaking. And also another quote says, in 2010, manufacturing jobs in the U.S. were $34.74 per hour on average. That's lower than in 13 northern and western European countries, but of course far higher than costs in China, which is $1.36 per hour. But that's, like I said, their quality of work is not as good as us. We're faster. I'm not trying to like play down on anyone, but we're faster to make things. It's in our blood. Like, we've done this before. And by 2015, Chinese wages will average $6.15 per hour below the U.S. minimum wage. But American worker productivity is simply significantly higher when you consider all the factors. The true cost to manufacture goods from China will only be about 10% cheaper than to make them domestically in another few years. So, if you take that in consideration, that's not even counting like the benefits of it being made in the U.S. That's just saying how much it is like at the door, like right there. I mean, yeah. And according to Economy and Trade by USTR Government Issues, they state such effects help strengthen America's economic growth rate. And also, shifting production to the most competitive areas of our company and economy, it helps raise the productivity of the average American worker, and through that, the income they earn. So, basically it's saying our economic growth rate would rise, and our unemployment rate would go below. And also, according to the Peterson Institute for International Economics, American real incomes are 9% higher than they would otherwise have been as a result of trade liberalization efforts since the Second World War. So right now we're actually 9% higher in income rates, which is pretty good. And the more we employ American businesses back here, more money will be flowing around. And this is actually a true story or fact. During this coronavirus epidemic, the Chinese government has limited our production on antibiotics and other deals. Even though it's a U.S. company, it's still made in China, so they can basically do whatever they want with it and give it to us whenever they want, lie to us, and that's basically what has been happening so far. And that is a major issue. We got to cut down on other countries and only worry about ourselves, because we end up helping everyone else when there's a problem. So why should we work with other countries that won't do the same for us. So all of this should be moved back in the U.S. I can't stress it enough. Like, it's a big problem that's happening, especially during this time of need. We need these new leaders to see that these Americans need to work and we need more jobs for our economy to go up and boom, especially after this time that we're in right now. Like, unemployment right now is through the door. It's 25%, but that's due to the people not being able to work. But I suggest that we have to go back to work in order to bring that back up and bring our economy back up. And we need to pay off our debts, because we're like almost $20 trillion in debt, and all our debt is basically we owe China money. But if all of the U.S. stops buying from China for at least a month, they'll definitely see that they need us more than we need them. So, I mean, we have to do what we have to do. We have to give back our jobs to the American people, because they deserve it. We all deserve it. The quality of our products are way better. The way we treat our workers are so much better. There's a lot of sweatshops, foreignly speaking, but there's regulations here, and people actually check. There's nothing. You don't know how your product was made. There's no history of it. You can't check. So that's a huge problem that we have to overcome. But once we formulate and help America, then we can work with other countries. But we have to put ourselves above others before anything. So I'm going to be going around and seeing what the American people think of moving our businesses and production back in the U.S. like it was before. So let's see on the other side. Beautiful mom. She's going to be telling us, stop laughing. She's going to be telling us why things should be made in the U.S. and not in other countries like it already is.
Because it gave the opportunity to the American people to work on it. And also, we don't have to depend on anybody else.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
What's your name?
Luz Marina Yusakos.
Okay. You heard it here. You want to be in my interview?
Do I have a choice?
No. You're my brother, so.
Sounds good.
All right. Why do you think things should be made in the U.S. and not in other places?
I mean, like I was saying before, it's just the fact that we need to reinvest into the American economy. It helps with job security, not only for this generation, but for future generations.
Are you sure?
Am I sure? I mean, from what I know, from what I've seen, I'm 25 years old. Reinvesting in America is, I mean, to me, very important.
Okay, so thank you so much for being in my interview. What's your name again?
PJ.
Okay, thank you, PJ. Have a good day.
May I, do you have time for an interview?
I guess.
May I have your name?
I'm Martin.
Okay, Martin. So why do you think products should be made in America?
Well, I think that things should be made in the U.S. because it is better for our environment, because we have laws against pollution, and other countries may not have the same laws as us. And the quality of goods are better here. And those were samples from our fellow American citizens. And you see what they said? They said that we should actually move our manufacturers to the U.S. because it's better overall. If you have any questions, you can email us. This is the Georgos Journal. We'll see you next time. Peace.